Good morning, everybody. It is time for office hours. I am so excited, per usual, to come in, share, give everyone a bunch of information, and also just be able to kind of share what's going on, what's going out in the world. So, first and foremost, if you're new here, hi, I'm Marissa Friedman. Very nice to meet you. I've delivered more than 1,200 live events as an expert for companies like Tory Burch, Google, and Microsoft. And I've run a strategy firm for almost 10 years, located here in San Diego. And one of the things that I absolutely just enjoy doing is being able to give back in a really, really defined way. So, first things first, if you are seeing me for the first time, welcome. Nice to have you. Nice to see you here. Two, if you know me and you want to jump in and you want to ask your questions, feel free. I am very, very happy to have any and all of you here. One thing you know about me is that I tend to be very direct and to the point. So if you're a little bit worried about maybe I am too much for you in terms of like, oh my goodness, she's very intense, that's okay. I'm okay being intense. We're good. So let's get this party started. So, first things first, our first question came in. If you're not familiar, we did put up a form for people to use that allows them to just come in and say, hey, this is my question. This is what I want to know. So, one of the questions that comes in probably every time I do this, and this is no exception, is that people keep asking about places or how to find speaking engagements or how to get in front of the right people. So, the one thing that, at simplest, I'm going to share with you is that there's a ton of Facebook groups that you can be a part of that have kind of access to information. Now, keep in mind, sometimes when these groups are asking you to participate, there may be a fee to speak, right? So if you're looking for real, just organic ways to speak at a conference or to speak at an event and you don't have an agent yet, you're like, how do I do this? It's really not that hard. So the first thing that I'm going to say is one, make sure that you are optimized in all of the places. And I mean on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, on your Instagram, that let somebody know, hey, yeah, this is a person that knows how to speak or has spoken before. I think a lot of times people want to speak at events, but they haven't necessarily um, built the credibility online to be able to do that. So let me break down a couple things. The first thing that you can look at is in your own city. So I'm going to go now and share my screen with you so that you can see this search in real time. There isn't any magical way to do this. This is just a way that I have found that has worked really well for me. And again, if you are someone that is maybe a little bit more focused on other types of speaking, you'll be able to see this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm now going to share my screen and I'm going to show you a browser window that has a couple things up just so you can start to get an idea of what to look at. So here we are on a browser screen and I have simply put in on the top of this search bar, I did call for speakers. Now you'll notice I didn't put a date yet because I want to show you what comes up. And again, what am I seeing? It's basically immediately down here. The first thing that comes up, it says, hey, MPI San Diego speaking opportunities. Are you interested in speaking? And again, it's like, here's the way directly for this chapter located here in San Diego to speak. So obviously it's going regionally. Then we're going to look at, again, there's like different, hey, call for speakers. This is a directory of open call for speakers and directories. Now, sometimes they might require a fee, but this is giving you an example of, hey, this is a site that's it's clear that they're kind of just posting opportunities. Now, if I go in and I say, I start putting in a thing of 2026, right? Now that's going to change what I'm doing. And so first thing, hey, calls for speakers are here. Here's a tip sheet. Here's a tip sheet, right? So this is a talent company. And then they're telling you, hey, here's our speaker submission form, right? So again, Very simple. You're going to have to go through here, figure this out, engage for good, was looking for speakers, call for HR speakers. Again, now you can do something more specific and you can type in marketing, right? And now it's going to say, wait, marketing summit, join us here, apply to speak, women in tech. So women in tech is a very specific example. And then it's going to say, hey, like your deadline, this one for this particular one already passed. So you would put it, oh, January 25th, this deadline already closed, but at least it tells you, hey, there's a women in tech conference. You can put that on your list for next time. Then again, as you keep going down, you'll start to see, okay, like marketers, independent experts. And so when you start going through these pages, again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically tell someone, hey, I'm here, I'm an expert, I'm available. And again, some of these, they have, this one is basically like, hey, why would you want to speak at an American Marketing Association event? Here's the thing, and here's to apply, right? So it's that simple. Now, most people, when they're doing this, go, oh, this is really hard. This is not hard. You just need to be willing to do some digging. Now, you can use AI, and we have created some agents that we give to our clients that basically go out on a daily basis and scroll opportunities. But this is just a little bit more of like a manual, again, way of looking at this. B2B marketing, right? This one, I think, I'm not sure when the deadline was, but this happened again. It's like, here, the speaker, are you a marketer consultant? So you need to be able to answer all of these questions. Now, for sometimes people ask me, well, how do you get your data to understand your audience really quickly? So let me give you a really quick, easy way to be able to say, hey, these are the demographics that like me. First things first, this is a little bit of like a overview of just my social, but this gives someone, an event organizer, a tangible way of looking at, okay, on this platform, she has 15,000 followers. She has, the gender distribution of her audience is equal between men and women. The top age groups that I'm popular with is actually 25 to 34-year-olds. So I trend younger, which is great. And then again, where am I coming from? And again, I have some people in the UK, and then we go down to my TikTok. Now, my TikTok is a different platform, but again, it gives somebody an idea of, hey, of her following, 75% is female on TikTok, 25% is male. Here's the top countries there. And again, content is popular with millennials, right? And then I go into different things here. So why do we have this information? Well, we have this information because we want to be able to accurately give someone a sense of who we are, right? But we also want to be able to showcase our expertise. Now, if you're a newer speaker and you're still building your roster, that's okay, but you just need to have pages optimized for that. So let me show you the two different pages we have optimized. So one is under the main brand, which is the brand most people know me for, which is Executive Cat Herder, right? So on that, I basically go through, I've got examples and videos, I've got the actual potential talks that I can give. And then again, here's the podcast guests where I've just showed up on different podcasts so that people can hear, again, my voice. The goal is for people to get to know me very quickly through that. Now, there's another way to do this, which I have on my other website that is also optimized. And again, that is more optimized because I have different brands. If you don't have different brands, you don't need to do all this extra stuff. But when you do have extra brands, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But so it goes. So we go down here for speaking, same thing. I've got kind of the talks delivered, and then I've got the talks here, but who they trend with. So depending on which point of entry you find me, you're going to see these things. Now, why does this matter for you? This means that you have to clearly articulate as quickly as possible who you are and what you can offer in a way that someone can understand. And most people are not doing that. What are most people doing? Most people are just, you're kind of half-assing it. You're thinking someone's going to know that you're an expert. That is not the case. So again, what you need to be able to do is articulate on all your platforms, hey, I'm here, I'm of interest. This is what I speak about. This is why people trend or follow me. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're going through this process. Now I'm going to give you the last tool that I believe every speaker should have, which is very clearly, again, Who are you? What do you do? How do you articulate that information? And again, when I usually do this, most people are, you're hoping someone runs into your content. You're hoping someone takes the time to do this. You need to be very Googleable. You need to be easy to reach. And again, what we're looking at here now is I'm going to show you another screen so you can see this is just a one pager. There's different ways to do one pagers, right? So here's an example. And one thing about this example that I'm going to show you guys that you probably are seeing right now is that key topics for speaking and podcast appearances. Here's the demographics of who I trend with. Here's the past clients and partners, and here's my bio. Here's the press, right? Now, some people go, oh, that seems like overkill. Now, this one is very specific to a pitch that I had. So it's like, hey, what do I talk about? What do I share? Where are my features? Where are my projects? So this one is blended a little bit more towards mom and influencing. The other one is a little bit more professional. So again, how do you do this? You just go online, you make a speaker one pager. Then what else do? You go online and you search for companies that currently are doing a call for speakers. So again, there's an advanced version of this that you can do, but if you go in here for call for speakers, you'll start to see that like there's all kinds of networks and places that you can be a part of, right? And we're looking here as well, like if you were going to do a conference on leadership versus just a generic topic, then everything changes based on that. So again, highly recommend you just kind of get in here, get in the trenches. Now, this is where ChatGPT could be your friend, where you could have it organize a list, right, for you of conferences and events and places to speak. And I have run those where I have it start the database for me. It is really good at doing that. But again, it's all about the prompting that you put in there. Okay. So that was the first question that came around, like, how do I find speaking gigs? How do I talk about myself? What is the best way to do this? So that is what my recommendation would be based on experience. Now, this all ties into the next question that I had, which somebody said, is LinkedIn still viable given all the spam and all the things that are happening? And I'm going to be very clear. Absolutely. One thing that you cannot, even if I find LinkedIn to be a very performative space, which I do, I find it to be exceptionally, but there is the ability that people have to, number one, people are reading content and information, things are resonating with them. You don't need to have everything figured out. But what I will say is it is really great to be able to connect and post with people online. Most people do not have their LinkedIns optimized like at all. And what I mean is you haven't even organized your recommendation section or how you're laying it out. So this is how I'm going to share with you. Your LinkedIn is such a valuable asset for you, right? And so when we look at your LinkedIn, again, thinking intentionally about what you're going to put here, making sure that you're being very clear in this section about who you are, what you do, what you can help with. And then again, in my instance, I put services there, and then I put some of my featured recommendations from different clients that we've done work for. Now, you'll notice I am very wary about, certain types of people that come into my network. Like I don't accept every LinkedIn request. So that's just my choice. Everyone is different. You go through here, you want to keyword stuff, all of the stuff that you've done for different clients. But at the bottom, you want to take the time to really go in here and get the recommendations. And you'll notice that my recommendations are from athletes, from CEOs, from founders, from entrepreneurs, from business owners, from government entities. Why? Because strategy and the way that I work with people transcends one particular vertical. So a lot of us hear this comment around, hey, we need to only be doing this or only be, that's incorrect. I think you need to be everywhere and somewhat omnipresent. This ties into the second kind of requests around LinkedIn and understanding your Google ability. So let's look at it together. Okay. Number one, your ability to show up when people are searching for you is very important. Let's first and foremost. So if someone is just doing a search for me, right? And we're looking automatically, you're going to see that My Pill comes up with strategist. It's going to come through with other people that have come through this program, right? You can tell that that's probably someone that I know, which I do know her. Here's all my information here. Here's my knowledge panel. It's very offensive that my age is there. Here's my social, right? So we start to see, okay, this is what's coming up. When you click the AI mode, you're going to notice that any of the optimizations that you've run across your name show up here. So again, my role, my expertise, everything, it's perfect, right? It's exactly what it needs to be. Now, when I go back to all and we go to this images mode, what we're looking at here are these pills across the top. So it talks about me being an entrepreneur, a strategist, business, leadership. And then as you scroll down, you can see these are all the different properties or things that I've done. Why does that matter? Well, it's just about making sure that you are in all of the spaces that you need to be. And I am. So even this, like, I don't even know what this is from, apparently. But again, this gives people a great example of, hey, when they come look for you, right? When someone comes to look for you, how awesome is it that they can find, who you are, what you're doing very simply, right? So again, we want to make sure that that knowledge panel is there. Shout out to everyone on Instagram. I'm going to say hi to everyone there. Thanks for supporting. And again, we're going back to our Google search and we're looking at, okay, strategies coming up. This is great. This is exactly how I wanted this to be, so that when someone comes to meet with me, they've already seen, oh, wow, look at all the stuff she's up to. Like okay, she's been in a couple magazines. She's over here. So great, amazing. So then when you click on that short form video, this is where you start to realize that everything that you're doing is indexable, right? Those are your short form videos. And then if you just want to see longer form videos, that's all the YouTube stuff, right? So again, things to pay attention to, things to note, things to be aware of. When you're trying to, let's just look up a friend of mine and see if he's here. I'll look at my husband, right? No knowledge panel, no nothing, right? When we look at people, there is one for hockey player, but that's not the right one. So there's a couple tools and things that you can use to make this easier. Now you want to understand, when I'm going to something like MSN, for example, I also want to understand how I come across on all these different platforms, and then we'll do Perplexity next. And you'll see immediately, right? Okay, here's what we've got. We've got basics. It looks very different, right? And there's these bios kind of in here. There's looks like a couple videos, right? It's not as aggressive because I don't really focus on it. But if we look at our Bing search, we can start to see, okay, yeah, she's there. I'm here. I show up everywhere, right? So we've optimized for multiple platforms. And again, on this, when we're looking at these kind of this whole thing, you'll notice again that image was way more robust. Then when we start to look at kind of just more videos, again, it's a little crazier than it is on mine. So I've optimized for both, but I also think it's good to know what's out there. Now, if we go into something like a Perplexity, right, where we're looking at where most people are doing their AI searches or whatever, we're gonna do the same thing. And it could be as simple as like, who is, right? It's just who is Marissa Friedman, right? We're gonna make it really easy. And then again, here's everything that starts to come up with my roles, areas of expertise. What's cool is it goes into like, hey, what are these things? How is her role? What are my client case studies? It's doing the work for you. So if you set yourself up correctly, right, you're going to show up kind of in an omnipresent way across multiple channels. So that's kind of those two questions that are answered. So the first question we had today was about, how do I find speaking engagements? How do I find paid speaking engagements? What do I need to have in place to be considered for a speaking engagement? And then the other piece was understanding what is out there about you on the internet. Is it what you want, or do you want to see something different? Now, the last piece I thought was really interesting, which was people were asking about like, well, how do I find certain data, or how do I find, certain things? Again, I'm not knocking any of the AI tools, but what I am telling you is most of the AI tools are going to give you exactly what you want. They're not set up to disappoint you. In this instance, what I'm looking up is something really simple. Like I'm going to look up AI marketing, right, as a topic or a trend. And I want to see in the US over the past month what those searches have been. Now, this is Google Trends. This is just letting me look this information up. It's looking up specifically like the changes. AI for marketing has gone down, right? There's things around building trust with agentic AI. You can start to see there's things that are happening. So if I look at something like, AI for marketing, for example, it's like, let's look at that as a term, right? Let's look at that and see what else came up, right? So I look in the past 3 months, I'm trying to see if there's any data that is going to be available to me. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Now they're looking at like agile methodologies, deep things, front end frameworks, AI for email marketing, but you can see the changes down significantly. So I think part of the reason that there's a change there is that it just isn't working out. So that being said, I am going to let you go. Those are all of the pieces for Office Hours. Office Hours was brought to you by our friends at 75X Strategy and Reset. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy the sunshine, and thanks for hanging out. Bye.